Hello, everybody. This is Murray back again with you, and this time I've got my co-host Hans Lammerman with me, and we're going to be doing, I believe these are September 28th and 29th issues
Yes.
of of all the papers, the four papers in the county, and we also have some inserts that we might talk about. But I want to ask Hans about his vacation. Where did you go?
Well, I'm very happy to be back here in Lavaca County with all my coworkers and four great newspapers this week. But I made it back from Trinidad last week. I was there visiting my girlfriend's family, and it was really amazing. You know, as much as beautiful as it is here, it's hard to not acknowledge the gorgeousness over there.
Well, did you have any adventures when you went into the water?
I did, yes. So unfortunately, day two of being down there, I was floating around on some pool noodles and sure enough, the pool noodle came right up and attacked me, and I lost my glasses lens, and I enjoyed the rest of the trip from a blurry perspective, but I was still very happy to be on vacation, and I learned to never leave home without a pair of backup glasses.
Well, I'm glad you made it back all right, and I understand that you and Mark Luby are going to be leaving again here shortly after we get through this podcast.
Yeah, you're right. I'm going to be learning a thing or two about being a sports writer for the first time in my short writing career so far. I will pick up some of those skills. So maybe some of you guys around the county will read some Hans Lammerman sports reporting, which will be the first ever.
All right, well, I guess we've covered all those adventures that you had and
Hmm.
fixing to have, and I guess we're going to start with one of the inserts that's going to be in all the papers, and it's something that we do. How often we do that? Every year?
Yeah, this is an annual thing.
Okay. And this is the campside chatter, friends, and this is for all you folks that like to hunt and like to deer hunt and what have you. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. I'll let Hans start it off.
Yeah, like you mentioned, this is going to be in all four newspapers, and actually for our neighbors over there in Luling, they get a copy of this as well. The staff helped put this together. And this is a quite a thick 30 page, or actually 32 page special section with plenty of information about the upcoming big buck contests. And our managing editor, Bobby Horechka, has some stories on the hunter safety program and the history of the hunter safety program, which celebrated their 50th anniversary this year.
We also have a story about the Texas Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame accepting nominations. That's on page 22.
And one of my favorite stories in this special section is on page 28, so we're jumping near to the back of it. And this is by the managing editor there, Bobby Horechka, and it's about how to weatherproof your bird dog. So, you know, if you want to take your hunting dog to the next level and get even more yield there, uh, this is a great story, and it's a fun story on how to train them to be more comfortable.
Exactly. We want to thank all our advertisers in this campsite chatter, and friends, we had a bunch of them. So when you pick it up, well, you can know that they had a whole lot to do with us being able to provide this content.
Oh, yep. Yep, and there's even the entry forms for some of the Shiner Area Big Buck contest, and I believe there's one in Hallettsville as well. Is that I don't want to get the name wrong here for that one. Oh, here we go. The Hallettsville Knights of Columbus Big Buck contest.
Yeah.
So plenty of good information in there, and for all you hunters and even people that are interested in getting into it for the first time, this is a great place to start.
All right, I guess we got that pretty well covered. You ready to jump into the Shiner Gazette?
I am, yes. So it looks like we have an eye-catching front page in Shiner with a fire that looks like totally destroyed a building.
Yeah, our managing editor, Bobby Hariska, wrote this story, and the headline says Monday night's mutual aid fire call likely a total loss. So they had to bring in people from other departments and Gonzales Fire Department's here and several others. So
Well, reading through here, it looks like they were assisting with the fire in Gonzales County, and this was on Monday night. So this was what was that, the 26th? Is that Monday? Do I have my math right there? Was on Monday nonetheless. And so they were assisting with that fire, and it says Shiner Volunteer Fire Department brought out 26 firefighters, 6 trucks to help battle that blaze.
Yeah, that location is right on the county line between Gonzales County and Lavaca County. So I'm familiar with that area. I don't know which place this was, but anyway, our prayers go out to that nobody was hurt. That's the main thing.
And as always, a big thank you to the volunteer firefighters and the firefighters that go out there and risk their lives to save others.
You got that right, I'll tell you.
And then to the left of that story on the front page, for those who are reading along with us, Bobby Horechka has our story on the student enrollment numbers at Shiner ISD, and it looks like they're up, which is always good news. We're going to have more Comanches to fill those sports teams and to be in those classrooms this year.
And I see where our lead reporter, Jimmy Apple, has a story about the court approving the declaration of a local state of disaster. So that's a pretty good read right there. It tells you a whole lot about the situation at our border and how many have came through our county and have been caught. And it's a problem that's a nationwide thing. And Sheriff Michael Harmon addressed that recently.
And there's quotes from him in there. And before we move past this front page, Bobby has a story on the National Night Out, and that's going to be next Tuesday. And for people that are unaware of this celebration, it is every year it's an attempt since 1984 to help connect police departments with their communities. So people all around town, set up their lawn chairs outside. It's kind of like block parties, but the police come by and they enjoy it with you. So very wholesome, and I think it's really a fantastic community event.
Yes, it's very good for the police and the community to get to know one another, and that's a successful program that's been going on.
And I think, oh yes, here it is. It's going to be, um, well, I'll read Bobby's words here. The department has invited out all Shiner's first responders, or the community rather, invited out all Shiner's first responders to come join them for from 6 to 9 p.m. on Tuesday at the Game and Fish Pavilion in Green Dixon Park. So that's where it's going to be held there in Shiner. And there's going to be Moulton and Hallettsville is also going to be that same day, but Yoakum is going to be October 11th, so a week later.
All right, you ready to take a look at Mark Luby's sports?
Yeah, let's do it. What does Mark have for us?
Well, Mark has got a story here about St. Paul getting defeated by Geneva Burney, and that was a bad night for St. Paul. The score was 35-12. But then the Comanches, they continue their winning ways, and that running back Dalton Brooks, boy, he's something else. He scored 5 times in the rout of the Ganado Indians, and that was supposed to be a close game, friends. But evidently nobody told the Comanches. But anyway, congratulations to them, and I'm sure that St. Paul they'll be on the rebound.
Oh yes, it says there on for the Shiner story that Dalton Brooks ran for 262 yards and 4 touchdowns. And 3 of those touchdown runs were more than 50 yards. And he caught a 54-yard pass. So that's very impressive. That would be exhausting, just those 4 plays, and I'm sure he was out there on the field the whole game.
Well, after you go to your seminar, you'll learn how to write about people like you.
Yeah, I'll have to learn how to do it from the lawn chair there.
There you go.
Okay. And while there's plenty of other news to cover in the Shiner Gazette, what do you say we turn over to our flagship paper?
I think that's a good idea. This will be the Hallettsville Tribune Herald. The flagship, as Hans said. And I think we'll take credit for one we did there, Hans, on the Providence City story. So I remember that day well, and I'm sure you do also.
Oh yeah, we gathered in the car and we drove about maybe a half hour, 45 minutes east towards past the Colorado County line, and we went to Providence City. And we went to what is left of Providence City.
Yeah, you're going through this countryside, friends, and there's nothing. And then all of a sudden you come upon this beautiful old hotel that's still there. and there's a state marker there. And this hotel is immaculate. I don't know who takes care of the grounds in the hotel, but I think it's a family-run operation.
Yeah, from what I understand, it now is left to the heirs of um, the oil company that originally bought it, and well, after the town had, um, I guess, what's the word there? I mean, really, the whole point of the story here, and the most interesting fact, is that the town is no longer there. You know,
Yeah,
there was once 800 people, but the reason that people went there in the first place is because they were promised fruitful land, a railroad that would eventually go there, and this is in the early 1900s, 1911. It was the peak of the year by a lot of accounts. And then, of course, these promises were realized that, we're not going to have the lush, I guess, harvesting seasons that were promised, and the railroad never ended up coming, so the people left within a few short
yeah.
years.
Basically, this wasn't anything but a land scheme, a fraud, and I believe it originated out of Kansas City.
And
And
so Midwesterners from all over the area came down to this area of Colorado County, and sure enough, within a few years they were gone. But there's some very interesting information in there that you helped me with. And my favorite part of that article is I actually went and found a a quote from the Yoakum Herald Times, and that was in 1910, I believe. And writing, the editor said that he couldn't imagine that a town would have been built in such poor land, and he was
yeah,
blown away that people were actually moving out there. And sure enough, there's good reason that he was blown away.
yeah, that they had been promised that was going to be some awesome farmland, and anybody that knows that area knows that that's not true. You know, it's good for ranching and and that type of thing, but it wasn't good for farming. And sadly, they found out the hard way.
And then moving past that, we have also on the page our ace reporter, Jimmy Appelt, has a story on the cyber threats and the different scams that are specifically targeting the older population all across the country, and that issue appears to be here in Lavaca County as well.
Yeah, they target elderly people and people that maybe are not aware of things that go on online or anything like that. And so that's who they go after. As usual, they go after the most susceptible victims. And if your family is not aware, you need to make them aware.
And there's some good background information there in that story to at least get you started.
All right.
Well, while you're looking through the rest of that A section, I looking just here at the front of the B section, our senior sports reporter, Charles Graff, Chuck Graff.
Chuck Groff. You got
He
to say Groff.
Graff.
There you
Yes,
go.
he'd be disappointed. He has some stories on the Indians, the Sacred Heart Indians winning their third straight football game.
Yeah. He's got, as usual, Chuck always does a fantastic job. A lot of color pictures and he's got another story about the Brahmas. The Brahmas lost, and I don't think any folks around here was expecting that. They lost by 1 point in overtime, 35-34. And so I was a little confused about, I don't want to say we take it for granted, but a lot of times on these Christian schools, we don't expect them to be all that good. But after talking to Chuck, he said these boys on that other team were huge. In fact, he showed me a picture, and they were. They were some big fellas. So
And they really went for it too, literally. With at the end of overtime there, they had a 2 point conversion instead of just kicking that field goal and getting the tie. So they risked it for the win there, and they came away with what I believe is Hallettsville's first loss of the season. Is that
yeah,
true?
it is right. And you know what Chuck said? He said the reason that the coach decided to go for two was that these big boys from that other school were just they were wearing our fellas out to the point where he didn't think that it would be advisable to go head to head with them that much longer, So he took a chance, and good for him, they very well could have come up a winner.
Yeah, and it says that the game went into overtime in the first place because there was a missed 28-yard field goal, just 18 seconds before the end of regulation there. So,
Well, and every time that you have a victory and every time you have a loss, you come away with more knowledge. And the good thing about this is it wasn't a district game, so it's not going to count as far as their progress in the playoffs.
but it will motivate them, like you were saying.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, that's plenty of news for Hallettsville there. Would you say you're ready to hop over into Yoakum?
I think that's a good idea.
All right. Well, this week in the Yoakum Herald Times, we have some beautiful young smiling faces on the front page of the Yoakum High School 2022 homecoming court that were announced at the homecoming football game last Friday.
Yeah, it's always nice to see these young faces, and you wonder where they'll go from here. But right now they are enjoying their high school experience, and that's a wonderful thing. Also, I see that we had a vehicle crash and one injured. Two vehicle wreck occurred on September 23rd at 11:55 a.m. at the intersection of U.S. Highway 78 North and West Gonzales Street, and one person was transferred to Yoakum Community Hospital.
Yep. Well, hopefully the injury wasn't too bad, and we send our thought and prayers out to them.
And I see, Hans, you have a story here about the November 8th election calendar.
Oh yes, it's
And
about that time. I know everybody else is excited as well. This is a big election. This is a gubernatorial election, so it's going to be some federal offices, just representatives, and then there's plenty of statewide offices like the mayor, the uh, plenty of commissioners, like the agriculture commissioner, the general land office commissioner. Um, so there's a lot of very, very important offices that are going to be decided in this election. This story ran in several papers this week, and it gives you a lot of the key dates that are coming up. So know to mark your calendar, check if you're registered to vote if you're interested this year, and then there's plenty of other information as far as the early voting and what all you need to bring with you to the polling location. Or if you decide to do mail-in voting too, there's plenty of information there on how you go about doing that.
yeah, I was looking on the inside on page 3A, and I see you have your yesteryear in Yoakum, and that's some really interesting historic stuff.
Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. This I always do the yesteryear in Yoakum every week. It's maybe my favorite article to do. And so I go back to the older articles. This one is 97 years ago. So September 28th, 97 years ago in 1925. And they they were just introducing license tags for service cars back then. So it's really cool to see how stern the police chief is when saying that all cars need to have these license tags on the back.
Yeah, I just got my notice again. It seems like that year runs around real fast,
Yep.
and I guarantee you it wasn't that cheap. It isn't that cheap.
Oh yeah. And I want to also highlight that, and this is on the front page as well. The DeWitt County Historical Commission, they received the Distinguished Service Award from the Texas Historic Commission, and this is the 23rd time that they got that award, and this is for the 175th celebration of the city of Cuero, 175th anniversary of the county of DeWitt. That was in 2021. There was a huge celebration. Everybody was they dressed up in period outfits. They had horse and carriages, and they really went all out, and they deserved that award.
All right. Well, I guess we're done with that section.
Oh, yep. So we started Yoakum by mentioning homecoming. Now we can finally get into the games. So the Bulldogs got their first win of the year, I believe.
No, that was Gonzales. But they had already won one game, and so this was their second.
Okay. Well, hey, that's even better. You're right. So here's Coach Robinson's 200th career win, which is a huge deal. And there's he grew up and his dad was a coach as well. He felt that the profession really called him, from what I was reading from local news sources. And the article here gives you kind of a rundown of what happened in that game, and he had some quotes from Robinson as well, Coach Robinson there. So,
Well, they actually won their first game the week prior when they went to Port Lavaca and
hmm
beat the Sand Crabs. And I had our podcast prior to that, I had kind of predicted or hoped
hmm
that they would win, and they did. And it seems like when they get on the winning ways that they know they can win. And Gonzales is a fair team, and that was one of their arch rivals, so it had to be sweet.
And looking at the bottom of that the first page of that B section there, we have an advertisement here from the Yoakum Heritage Museum, but this is some great information regarding the Beyond the Stars Gala, and that is this weekend, this Saturday, October 1st. There's going to be plenty to do there. This ad just demonstrates or displays rather, a quilt that'll be available for raffles, and they're celebrating 40 years of history on the Grand. So this is something that you don't want to miss if you're in town. And to the right of that, also, there's another information starting Sunday of this week, October 2nd, is the Hallettsville First United Methodist Church Pumpkin Patch fundraiser. So for those of you who want to get a jump start on your jack-o'-lanterns and your fall decorations, I would definitely recommend driving out to Hallettsville this week.
Yeah, those seems like those holidays roll around awful fast. And what do we've got? Halloween and then what? Thanksgiving or
Yep. You can't forget any of the good ones. Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then before you know it, we're all going to be in our jackets and enjoying
well,
Christmas.
it keeps us all confused because some of these stores start putting things out months ahead of time. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, they're not quick to put out the summer stuff, it
no.
seems. So. All right. Well, now we can jump over into Molten if you're ready.
Yeah, I think so. Moulton Council is going to appoint Mr. Wagner's successor. I don't know if you folks read about it last week that he had walked out on a council meeting, and I guess they had a dispute over different things, and so they're going to appoint his successor.
Yep. And it said that interested applicants, and I'm making sure I'm reading from the top of the second column there. Interested applicants may request a formal application at City Hall, located, well, there in Main Street in Moulton. Or you can email the city administrator, who's Luann Rogers, at citysec, that's CITYSEC, at cityofmoulton.com. So they will be appointing, it looks like they're going to be looking through some applications as well. So if you're interested in helping out your community and serving on the council, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, and I see our managing editor, Bobby Hariska, has written a story about the Moulton Independent School District adding a new tool to its arsenal of defenses. And his first paragraph, he says that the Moulton School Board has long fought to ensure the staff and facility of their district have every tool at their disposal to keep students and themselves safe should the worst ever darken their doorways someday.
Yeah, and the picture there on the front page, it may look like a toy gun there, but it's actually a pepper spray gun. It's a pepper gun, and Bobby Rice said this is the same type of instrument, I guess, used by local law enforcement that can accurately target up to 50 feet away. So that's a great way to protect the students without having deadly force.
Yeah, especially for people that I have a daughter that's a teacher, and she just doesn't like guns. And even though she was raised around them, she doesn't like guns. So she would be more acceptable to this kind of situation than having to handle a firearm.
I'm sure she wouldn't want to be pepper sprayed either, but
No.
yeah, it is not deadly force. And then just to quickly touch on the National Night Out in Moulton, that's going to be Tuesday, October 4th at the Moulton City Park. So once again, another opportunity to meet your police officers. And then the citywide garage sale is going to be this weekend, hosted by the Moulton Chamber of Commerce. And that's going to be this weekend, Friday, September 30th, and Saturday, October 1st, at various locations. And if you want to, there's still a chance to get on this list if you have a garage sale. So you can just call Nina at 361-798-8618. And there's plenty of information there for people who are interested in that story. That's the bottom left of page 1.
I'm looking inside on page 2A. I'll give myself a plug.
Uh-huh.
I wrote about the upcoming celebration, the Come and Take It celebration that's coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday up in Gonzales. So this is about the Come and Take It battle and the flag, and those of you that are into Texas history, I think that you'll enjoy this. In fact, I picked out one individual that wasn't a Crockett or a Travis or any of those that you're normally used to reading about. And so I told a little story about him. And he died at the Alamo with all the rest. But he was just as much a hero. And I like to, from time to time, to bring out these ordinary soldiers that never got all that kind of credit.
Yeah, it's another great story. I'm always appreciative of your articles, and I do know that whenever they involve Gonzales, they have a little bit more passion in there.
Yeah, I lived in Gonzales for 18 years and actually moved there from the coast because I wanted to be near all that history. But Lavaca County is the same way. When you read that story, in a lot of publications, it'll say the immortal 32 men from Gonzales that they were the only people that went to reinforce Alamo.
Mm-hmm.
But what they fail to mention sometimes is that there were people from back then what they call the Lavaca River Valley area. One in particular, his name was Andrew Kent, and he also died in Alamo. But what they did, the men from Gonzales got the recognition because they were on their way, and these other people joined them along the way. So they wasn't from Gonzales, but they were part of that group.
Mm-hmm. And that Come and Take It event this weekend, does it usually attract quite a crowd?
Oh yeah, yeah. My three kids graduated from Gonzales High School, and it's like old home week for all the kids for years. That's where they come and they meet their schoolmates, and it's just if you've never been, and especially if you love Texas history, you need to go.
And then lastly, before we head out of the Molten Eagle, last week we had the introduction of a new business, a new restaurant in town, and this week again there is another introduction in the paper of a business. In fact, there was a ribbon cutting for Brian's liquor store, and this is on the front page of the B section there. So welcome to town, Brian's liquor store, and we hope to have you for a while.
Yeah, last week we had I can't call her name, but she has a food truck, and I had I had talked about her in our last podcast, and hopefully her business is doing well.
Yeah, hopefully some of the listeners out here have already tried some of those.
Well, she was or is a taco expert, and that's good enough for me.
See, I like to consider myself a taco expert, but I guess I'm a taco eating expert.
There you go.
Well, I think that's most of what we needed to cover this week. I would like to mention that coming up, we will have this audio version of the news review, hopefully every week going on forward. And then we hope to introduce some videos as well. So we hope to have video interviews, maybe just to look at some upcoming events. And who knows, we could interview some football players, some coaches. So anybody that may be pertinent to our Lavaca County listeners.
Yeah, we try to cover the whole area, and there's a picnic coming up in Flatonia. I believe that's this Sunday. I believe that's what Henry Joe told me, and Henry Joe's never wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at the Sacred Heart Church, and he was bragging on their turkey and dressing. So you might want to, he is an eating expert, so you might want to take all that into consideration. And I think the main thing you folks can do for us with these podcasts is to share them. That's the thing that puts us up in the ratings on Facebook the more that you share these things, well, the better it is for us, and hopefully people that enjoy hearing all this valuable information that Hans and I put together. But I guess that's all I've got for now, Hans. You got to get on your way to learn to be a sportscaster. So
you're exactly right. Thank everybody for stopping by and listening with us today and reading along with us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yeah, we appreciate you folks, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.